And a very good evening to you. You're listening to Modern Mystic Radio. My name is Sarah. I'm your host for the evening. I'm going to be going into an interview very, very shortly with you. But before I do that, I just need to remind you how you can get hold of me if you need to for a reading. I'm a psychic. I've been psychic for my whole life, been working professionally for 27 years. My website is www.modern-mystic.co.uk. And you can also catch me on Facebook, where I do free live psychic sessions once a week. My next one is at 7 p.m. UK time on my Mystic Sarah page. So you can join me there for your free reading if you so wish. Now, without further ado, I'm really, really pleased to welcome a really special guest. He's a paranormal investigator. His name's Ian Varro. Hello, Ian. Are you there?
Hi, Saira.
Hi, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so you are a paranormal investigator. How long have you been investigating paranormal activity?
About 12 years now.
Okay.
Actually got the team together about 5 years ago, so we've been fully on it since.
So that's a long, long time. So how did you first get into the whole world of the paranormal?
Age 5, moved into a haunted house and pretty much had to deal with it on a daily basis. So many years later I decided, it followed me around, so I just decided, well, let's go with it. Stop trying to force it off. Okay,
so what sort of experiences did you have, at that age, at that haunted house?
Full-blown apparitions.
Oh, wow.
Voices, footsteps, constant feeling of being watched. It was quite full on in that house.
And did it ever stop? Did you find a way of actually, stopping it, blocking it, or anything like that? Or was it just something that constantly happened to you?
I basically blocked it off for quite a while. Shut my senses off, or however you want to put it. But then later on in life, I had a motorcycle crash, and bidding, back it came.
Okay, so was that more of your psychic ability then that was kind of heightened as a child and then blocked and then obviously re-triggered with that motorcycle accident?
Yeah, very much so. It's a family trait, so I was destined to have it.
Tell me about it. So just tell me a little bit more about the types of, what sort of hauntings are there? Describe, what some people might be experiencing out there.
Well, pretty much you've got that residual haunting, which will just be a spirit or ghost going about its usual business. No intelligence, really. You can't communicate with them. And then you'll get the intelligent hauntings, which you can interact with. And they're fairly easy to deal with because you can get answers from them. But then you go a step up to the poltergeists, and then the very negatives.
The very negative. So what is your most memorable case that you can think of?
That would be a house we did locally. We were called in mainly because they had trouble heating the house, for one. Heating on full, couldn't get the house warm. The youngest kids were getting woken up by movement in the house. And I think the last strike was when the 16-year-old son woke up because somebody rubbed their hand across his face.
Oh.
So they called us in, and I actually, as we walked in, it was sweltering hot downstairs. I walked upstairs to check the place out, and as soon as I got to the upper level, it was ice cold. And you could walk up to the radiators and touch them, and they were roasting hot. Take your hand an inch away, couldn't feel any heat.
Oh, wow.
And we actually discovered there was about 35 ghosts there.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
That's a very extraordinary one.
Yeah, that would be quite memorable. Did you manage to get rid of them?
Yes. Yes, there was two main ones that were quite nasty, and there was another adult as well, but the rest were children. So we basically crossed all the children over and took the others' power away, so they just went.
So tell me a little bit more. You mentioned a team, so tell me a little bit more about the team.
Oh, well, there's me, there's I'm a sensitive, there's an investigator called Tony, we've got a tech guy called Aaron, and we have two mediums as well, Brandon and Natasha, who are very helpful. We basically, we go in and fully investigate and get to the bottom of things, and then deal with how we have to.
So how if somebody was listening into this, how would you say you could tell if your house is possibly haunted?
Oh, well, temperature changes in the house, abnormal temperature changes, footsteps, knocking is a very common thing. Kids, I'll be quite aware of anything in the house. Take notice of your pets as well. That's apart from the obvious of hearing voices and stuff like that. The kids and pets are probably the best indicators. The
best gauge for seeing. So, say for instance, yeah. Say for instance, somebody suspects that their home may very well be haunted. Maybe they're seeing things, it's having their experiences. What can they actually do?
What do you mean before they call a team in?
Well, say for instance they can't necessarily call it. Is there anything that they can do, that will help their situation, for instance?
Yeah, they can always try an EVP session, see if they can get any communication. Maybe ask a few questions. Mm-hmm. Maybe find out what they want, why they're there. Once you find that out, that's usually the route to moving them on. A blessing or a cleansing always helps, unless you're dealing with something bad.
So just to quickly explain what an EVP is.
It's electronic voice phenomenon. It's basically where you have a recording device and you'll ask questions and then give yourself time for a response and then play it back and hopefully you'll get a response.
Okay.
If they're willing to talk.
And what sort of questions would one ask, for instance?
Who are you? Why are you still here? Is there anything we can do to help? Is there any reason, anything you need to communicate with us for? Anything like that.
Okay, so just trying to find out if there's, whatever information that you can, if they're willing to talk.
Yes, very much.
Also, can you just, you use a lot of equipment in your investigations. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about your equipment that you use?
We use EMF detectors, motion sensors, vibration sensors. We have... Oh, blimey, what else we got? Full spectrum cameras, which basically see in every spectrum of light. They're very good at catching stuff. But yeah, basically what you see on the TV, we've basically got. So.
So in terms of the evidence that you've captured, what would you say is your most, exciting evidence that you've managed to gather?
Well, actually, it was the case we were just talking about. We was in a bedroom in the house, and on the thermal camera, there was a door with a glass panel in it, and a woman stood in the doorway, and there's actually no door there.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. That is something. That is something. And you've is that something that people can sort of have a look at and see if they're curious?
Yeah, it's on our Twitter page, so yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Also, let me just, I'm just going to have a quick look at my question. So, do you have any future plans in terms of, your investigations?
Well, we have a case coming up. We usually, it's just waiting for them to come in. Yeah, we have one coming up that we've got to deal with. Plus, we're also planning other investigations with Sage Paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be out investigating with them, just pretty much a training exercise.
Are you able to say where you're investigating?
Oh, we don't know yet.
Oh. Okay, but it's in the pipeline.
Oh yes, definitely, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so just sort of going through my questions very quickly. So is there anything sort of that you can kind of think of that would, further confirm to somebody, if we go back into the different types of hauntings, if you could talk a little bit about each of those once again, really what somebody needs to be looking for, how to identify what is a normal knock in a house and, something that's perhaps is a little bit, more paranormal.
Yeah, I mean, you'll always get knocks in houses due to wood settling, pipes knocking, very common. But if you get a knock that's actually in the room you're in, I mean, like at home here, we've got glass candles in glasses, and we've had them tap on the table. So, that's not the house moving. So it's just working out. Pay attention when you're hearing these noises. Try and listen out for them, and then try and work out where they're coming from. And once you get an area, just pay attention to the area. And if it doesn't sound logical, you can't find any logical explanation. There's a good chance it is paranormal. So.
And what about perhaps how somebody might feel, if there's an energy in their house? Because normally our own intuition is a good way of identifying. If there's something that's, like for instance, if you've got your eyes shut and somebody walks in the room, you sense it, you feel it, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So could somebody's own intuition, if they feel like you said, you felt like you're being watched, is that something also to kind of be aware of and look out for?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I don't know how other people get it, but when something's around, I feel staticky.
Yeah.
And generally, or I go ice cold. That's the two ways I usually sense, and that to me is much different between male and female. A female will always make me go cold, whereas a male won't. But
yeah, what I tend to get is like cobwebs all over my face, particularly my nose. I get like an itchy nose.
I actually experienced that once.
Yeah, it's most annoying because you just feel like you've got to wipe your face off and there's nothing there. But yeah, I tend to sense sort of spirit activity, in that way. And I suppose everybody's slightly different. But quite often it's like I said, it's that feeling of just somebody being there, or somebody behind you perhaps, and you look and there's nobody there. That might be another way that they can kind of you can use your intuition to kind of pick up that kind of thing yourself. You mentioned, if somebody is, concerned that they might have something in their house. So one of the questions that I tend to get asked really is, I feel like I've got something in my house, But if it happens to be my grandmother, I don't really want to boot her out. You know, how do you tell if it's like a haunting of something that is, you know, not so nice or doesn't really need to be there, and perhaps, you know, maybe a family member that's coming in to, you know, keep an eye on the family?
Well, you can pretty much tell on the atmosphere. Usually with a relative, it's usually quite calm. Although they might be trying to get your attention for some reason. Perhaps there's something else in their house that they're trying to warn you about. But generally, our mediums, they'll come in and pick up straight away that, oh, that one's okay. But we will never remove anything that should be there. You know, it's only the one causing a problem we will move on.
So talk us through how a typical investigation would go.
Well, basically, the first time round, we would go round and have a chat, find out what's been happening, seeing if we can see any, you know, factors while we're having a chat that could be a logical cause. If not, we will go back and do a full-on investigation. We'll set cameras up in all the hot spots, do some EVP work, spirit box work, and see if we get any responses. We'll come back and review all the camera footage and see if we've got any answers. And if not, or if we do, either way round, we'll go back with the mediums and we'll get definite answers and find out, you know, what we've got to do to move them on. You know, if they're there because they're confused, and so, well, here's the light, off you go, you know, don't be confused. And if they have any other particular reason for being there, then, you know, sometimes we have to spend some time convincing them they don't need to be here anymore.
So what if it happens to be something that doesn't want to go?
Well, that's where the fun begins. Yeah. We've come across a few like that. Our medium Brandon, he's very good at making things go. I know we came across something that was quite nasty in a case in Dulwich, and I don't quite know how he dealt with it, but basically he said to me, if you can imagine a food bag, he said, I'll put it in it and zipped it up.
That's absolutely amazing, because when I was very young, I had my first experience of opening up psychically, and I used to see lots and lots of faces, and these were not very particularly pleasant faces. I used to see hundreds of them each and every night, and they used to literally zip past me one after the other like this, you know, hundreds of them. And I had this experience every single night for I don't know how long, and I was probably about 7 at the time. And I tried sleeping with the hall light on and everything. It didn't matter. If there was a patch of dark anywhere, I would see these things. And then eventually I put up with this, and it even got to the point where I would start seeing them with my eyes open as well, you know. So it became more and more difficult to shut them out. And like I said, they weren't nice faces. They weren't friendly. They weren't family relatives, nothing, you know. It was quite nasty stuff. And it was my first ever encounter of my spiritual guides. And there was a man and there was a woman, and I could hear them talking about me, saying, I think she needs a bit of help here. And that's exactly what they did. They picked each face up, put them in like this plastic bag, zipped up the top and threw them away. And I never had them, and I still haven't ever had them since. So I find that story absolutely fascinating, and it really resonates with, you know, with my experience. I mean, you had different experiences as a child.
Yeah.
And, you know, you used to see, you know, the more ghostly kind of what you'd, I suppose, see in perhaps a horror film or what have you.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Did you ever go go back to that house to clear it or anything?
Not yet, but you've already mentioned that to me in the past. You've already told me I'm going to, so yeah, that's definitely on the books. It's definitely something we're going to look into. We actually did go back there. We were outside it, and my investigator Tony was filming, and we've actually got a voice on it.
Oh my goodness! And what did the voice say?
It said, "Look, see me."
Oh wow!
And when I took one of our mediums round there, and she instantly pointed to my old bedroom and went, "There's a man in the window," and I went, "Oh, great."
But at least you know you're getting it verified, and you know that experience wasn't your imagination. You wasn't an overactive imagination. You weren't being, scared or anything like that. It was, actually it can be verified years later by somebody that doesn't know the situation at all. So that's quite fascinating. So do you bring your mediums along with you to every investigation?
No. It depends. If there's kids involved, then we'll go in full stop to try and deal with it quick. Because if the kids are scared witless, then we want to deal with it quickly. But some cases we will go in and investigate and make sure there's something worth investigating or getting the mediums round for. Sometimes it's just a case of saying, "Oh, it's a relative, don't worry about it."
Obviously you've got a website, you've got some of the things that you've managed to capture. Up on there if people wanted to have a look.
Yeah.
So can you give everybody the details of that website?
Yeah, our website's www.residentialhaunting.co.uk.
Okay, so if somebody is listening.
And you'll also find us on Twitter at Team Res Haunt.
Okay, so somebody was perhaps, a little bit concerned about what they're experiencing in their home, are they able to kind of just contact you and, sound out the situation to you, or?
Yes, very much. They can contact us. There's a contact page on the website, and you can also message us on Twitter, so either way you'll get hold of us. And
you've been doing this now for 12 years.
Yeah.
So are you hoping to actually perhaps do, bigger types of investigations, maybe for really, really haunted places?
I think we've done quite well so far as the hauntings are concerned. I mean, where we're located is very active anyway. Being in Hastings with 1066 and Alistair Crowley, of all people. We're a very active area.
So you're in the right location for it.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, it's been absolutely fascinating talking to you. And, hopefully, if people can relate to what you've been talking about and would like that kind of advice and maybe a pointer in the right direction, they can get hold of you directly. Okay, yeah. So thank you so much for joining me. It's been fantastic. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I hope you have a lovely Christmas as well. Okay, so that's it for me. I'm just about wrapping up now. Wishing you all a fantastic week ahead. I hope you're really looking forward to the build up to Christmas. Like I said, if you want to get hold of me, you can on www.modern-mystic.co.uk, or you can catch me on Facebook under Mystic Saira and also Modern Mystic. Hopefully you will enjoy the rest of the shows tonight and for the rest of the week, and I shall see you the same time next week. Goodbye for now.